Hey guys, my name is Luke, and in this video, we are going to be talking about and ranking the English level of the stars of Keep Running, 跑男. But before we do that, make sure you give this video a like. If you like it, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Okay, let's get started. There is a very interesting episode of Keep Running where the whole cast goes to Vienna, to the UN, and they have to give presentations in front of the UN in English. Now imagine doing that in your second language. That's a big challenge. That would be a pretty scary thing, but they do. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at their speeches from the UN, and we're going to compare them. We're going to rank them, okay? That's what we're going to do. But because a speech is something that is usually read on a card or a piece of paper, we're not going to be talking about their English ability overall. For example, I would say that Luhan and Deng Chao have about the same level of English. But as presenters in English, they might get a different score. I don't know. I want to know what you think, right? We'll see. So let's first just say what our standards are going to be, and then you come up with your list and I'll go through mine. Let's, because it's a presentation, not say overall whose English is better than whose, because we can't really judge that well from these speeches because they're reading. So let's first say pronunciation. Let's look at pronunciation, how clear the pronunciation is of each word, and how the pronunciation flows from word to word. So that's one. Number two is confidence. We need to pay attention to how confidently they speak. And number three, their ability to communicate, to engage with the audience and really get ideas across, to really communicate. So those three, one more time. Pronunciation, confidence, and their overall performance, their communication skills, okay? Those three things. Okay, now let's just watch all of them. And here's what I'd like you to do as you're watching. I want you to make notes and then finally create your list. Rank them in order. 1 is the best, 2 is the second best, 3 is the third best. Put them in order and leave that in the comments. I'd like to know how you felt they did from best to worst. And then compare it to mine. We can see if ours are the same, similar, close, or completely different. I'm going to explain each one. I'm going to analyze each one after we watch all the speeches. So let's do that.
The total amount of bottled water wasted in one day globally can supply 1 million children for 3 days, maybe even longer. So clean water and sanitation is the 6th goal on the 2030 Sustainable Development Agenda.
We would like you to first watch this video. He is looking for food, but there is nothing for him except a dry bone.
Climate change caused by human activity threatens our being, our Earth, and the future of our planet. The clock is ticking. It's ticking.
What is? You know? You 吃鸭饭. Oh my God, you English good. Oh my God. Jumping, basketball, football, and jump rope. We have jump rope with many people. Guys, how many?
Under the Doha Declaration, UNODC has launched a global youth crime prevention initiative. This program uses sports to help young people develop life skills, improve social skills, and stay away from violence, crime, and drugs. Therefore, health is extremely important.
Thank you. Before we begin our speech, I would like to make a bet with you. I bet 100 RMB, Chinese money, that everyone here thinks I'm more handsome than him.
What?
Most Chinese people know that the compass, gunpowder, paper making, and printing are the 4 great inventions of ancient China that steered our history.
What you just saw is mobile payment. It has recently become quite popular in China. Mobile payment can make our life so much easier. In fact, I have not carried cash with me a long time.
All right, so you should have your list. If you don't have it, you can stop the video and make your list from 1 to 7, from best to worst. Then post it in the comments. Then continue the video. All right, so here's my list, starting at the bottom, starting with number 7, Li Chen. It's pretty clear to me when I'm listening to him that he's really not very comfortable with English. He's not very comfortable making English sounds with his mouth. It's not something that he's practiced a lot, and I can tell he doesn't speak English very often. Okay, that's fine. But things, for example, like video. He struggles to say video very clearly, and it sounds a little bit more like video. Instead of saying we, it sounds more like he's saying way, would sounds not very natural. So he's at 7 mostly because his words don't flow together very well, and also because of the individual word sounds. And I think to fix that, to be more confident, he just needs to practice it 100 times, and then he'll feel more comfortable. Next, number 6 is Chen He. Actually, I think Chen He and Li Chen are about at the same level, so it's kind of difficult to choose which one is higher, which one is lower. I think that Chen He is able to speak with a little bit more flow. He's able to blend his words together a little bit better. So that's why I put him a little bit higher. Still, pronunciation not so clear. For example, instead of saying every, he says every. He kind of mixes up the V and the W sound. Also, instead of saying forum, he says foreign. So there are quite a few sounds that are not quite right, although I would say maybe a little bit more clear than Li Chen. Number 5, Luhan. If you haven't seen my Luhan video, make sure to check that out. It's about Luhan's pronunciation. Actually, Luhan's pronunciation is not too bad. He actually speaks words individually very clearly, but because he's reading off a card, and maybe he didn't have a chance to practice that much, it does seem a little bit broken up. Yes, each word is pretty clear. His pronunciation of each word is I think, pretty natural. But he doesn't seem very confident because, one, maybe he hasn't practiced it enough, and because it's longer sentences, it does seem a little bit broken up. So he needs to work on his flow a bit, the fluency between words, blending them together better. Number 4, Dengchao. For those of you who are afraid to speak English because you're worried that your English isn't good enough, Dengchao can be a great inspiration. I think there's one great thing that you can learn from him, and that is just be confident and try your best and don't worry too much. I don't think he knows that many words, to be honest, because when he speaks, he uses simple words and he just puts a few words together to say what he means. But he's a natural communicator. He wants to communicate. I think he probably had a lot more written down on his card that he decided not to say. He wants to go off the cards. He wants to say what he wants when it comes to being engaging, communicating with the audience, and being confident. On those two, I think he's very strong. It's just that he doesn't know that many words. So I think if he learns 4,000 new words, if you're watching this, Dengchao, learn 4,000 words. just learn 4,000 words and you'll be great, because now he might know 1,000 or maybe less, but he uses them well and he's not afraid to try. And that's, I think, a very, very important thing to keep in mind. So for that reason, he's at number 4, even though what he says is very simple. He's still a good communicator.
Unbelievable! Amazing! 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 Amazing!
Number 3, Angelababy. Now, Angelababy's pronunciation is pretty good. Her pronunciation is pretty smooth. Most of the words that she says are pretty natural. But there are a few things. For example, when she says youth, the TH sound sounds like an S sound. So it sounds like use. When she says skills, it sounds more like skills. Skills, it sounds like an E sound instead of an I sound. So those are two things. But overall, her pronunciation is clear. But I get a feeling that she disconnects a little bit from the audience when she's reading, as though she's completely focused on the reading and suddenly is not so engaged with the audience. And so that's one reason that she's, for example, 3 and not 2, because I think the person at number 2 does that, reads from the cards, and stays connected with the audience. Now, who do you think is at number 2? Do you think it's Wang Zulan or do you think it's Dengchao? Who is number 2? Who is number 1? Okay, so on my list, number 2. Number 2 is Dengchao. 1 million children for 3 days. 1 million children for 3 days. That's very natural. What it shows me is that he deeply understands what he's saying, because he's choosing to stress the right words in the sentence. And it's kind of dramatic. It makes people feel more when they hear him say that. He's choosing to stress the right words. Also, he does read from the cards, but when he's reading from the cards, he'll look at the cards and look up. Look at the cards and look up. Always keeping in contact with the audience, always engaging. So by not being totally focused on the cards and using the cards a little bit, then looking up at the audience again, he's keeping contact, he's staying engaged with the audience. And maybe this is because he's practiced it many, many times. Maybe he memorized the card. That would make him feel more confident. That makes what he says sound more natural. He can focus on the meaning of what he's saying. Now, there are a couple places where he gets stuck a bit. He says the 6th goal of the 2030, and it sounds a little broken there. He gets a bit stuck. But it's pretty minor, and I think overall, he speaks very well. He communicates very clearly, and he stays connected to the audience, which I think is very important. So that leaves us with number 1. And if you've been watching carefully, if you watch the speeches carefully, I think you probably all agree with me on this one. I think it's hard to disagree with this one. Wang Zulan is a very good English speaker. Very good. He speaks totally naturally. Sometimes he reads from the cards. When he does, he reads with passion. He emphasizes the right words. He's dramatic, right? He doesn't read without confidence. He's very confident in what he's saying, right? Also, he's able to take away the cards and just free talk very naturally. So his English overall is very good. His pronunciation is just about perfect. And when he's reading, there's a lot of passion and the right stress, the right intonation in what he's saying. So I think he is a pretty easy choice for number 1. Pretty obvious. And hopefully most of you agree with that. I want to see your lists though. Don't change your list. If you don't agree, say why. I want to hear it. Explain. I want to know. Even though his English is so good and he's a master at presentations and speaking, there are a couple things that stuck out. For example, he says inventions instead of inventions. So I heard an F instead of a V. Also, he said poverty, which also sounds like an F instead of a V. So it's a very small point. Also, he says compass, pass instead of compass. Compass would be how I would say it. These are very, very small things. So I think he's definitely a great speaker, and you can learn a lot from watching him speak English. There's a lot to learn from Wang Zulan.
Amazing.
All right, guys, so that's my list. I really want to see yours as well. If you disagree with me, I want to know why. Leave a comment. If it's an angry comment, no problem. Let me have it. I want to hear what you think. I want to see your list, your ranking. So I look forward to seeing those, to seeing your comments, and I will see you in the next one.